Hey, it is actually our 15th episode of 10 Minutes of Bliss, ladies and gentlemen. I hope if you're listening to this, no matter where you are in this beautiful world, you're having a beautiful and blissful day. Today, we are actually going to be discussing a very important subject, one that is very intimate to me, and that is going to be the five languages of love. Because I figure if there is something I can share that should be able to help every single human on this planet who may be actually tuning into this episode, that subject should be on the very important subject of love. Because no matter what we do, no matter what we are doing right now in this world, it is all so that we may get closer to our ideals about love, so we could find a partner, we could mate with someone, we could live with someone, we could stick it out together and create a conscious, beautiful life with one another. Now, in order to be able to do that, there are some challenges because we, as a species, have not been really taught much at all, if anything, about socialization, about love, about relationships, and realistically anything else along these lines. The best we are taught is that just find a partner, have some babies, buy a house, a car, find a job, and just keep on upsizing everything every couple of years, and that's it. Then just drop dead and peace out. If hopefully you've paid your dues to your religious institution, you may end up finding yourself in heaven. Otherwise, you'd be in trouble. So back to the topic of love, because this is a universal subject. Now, if you're looking to create more love and connection in your life, then this episode is actually indeed for you. Now, let's get right into it. What are the five languages of love, and why is it important to even know this? How many times have you tried to do something, and this is very personal for me as well, where you feel like you're doing everything you can, you're pouring your heart out, and you're just bending backwards and trying to just do anything in between to make your partner, your love, happy, to give them that sensation of love that you're feeling within you. You're trying to shower them in any way possible that you know how, yet it's just not sticking. And it always just ends up, it's like a Teflon. No matter what you throw at it within your arsenal, then it's not sticking, it comes right back. And it manifests in many different forms and shapes. Initially, it could just be frustrations, then it could actually flare up, turn into, full out arguments, and last, but of course not the least, more severe problems in a relationship, which could end up to severed relationships. Now, the reason most of the times is not because we don't love one another. We actually do. If you love someone, you're in a relationship with them. A lot of times there is a lot of love, but it's just the communication, the way we communicate how we love and the way we receive love are very, very important. Some of that has to do with our upbringing. Some of it has to do with culture. Some of it has to do with religion. Some of it has to do with, family, society, friends, circles, influences. There are so many factors that come in. However, one thing that is for certain is that Dr. Gary Chapman, he has written this book, actually, The Five Love Languages, and developed the concept to describe how people express and experience love. Now, there are five different languages, and they are words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. Now, why is it important to understand what our partner's love language is? It's obviously absolutely significant because it helps us understand their needs and how they feel loved. It can avoid misunderstandings and conflicts in the relationships, and it can also help us to express love in a way that they understand and, most importantly, appreciate. Now, how do we determine our partner's love language? That's always the next question. Here are a few things that we can do. So, first, we can observe how they express love to others. Most of our learning actually comes not from our conclusions and mental processes of pattern recognition and creating other correlations between patterns that we perceive, but they actually come directly as a result of just witnessing and observing and being open instead of putting our own frames of understanding and perspective on the subject matter. The second thing we can do is pay attention to what they complain about or request. This one's very important, and I'm personally always trying to better myself in this department. And lastly, ask them directly to take a quiz together. Like there are love language quizzes one can take, and it will easily tell us what will satisfy our needs if in doubt. But here are some tips for expressing love in each language. For example, the words of affirmation. That is one of the languages of love, which really is giving sincere compliments. So things like I love you, things like verbal compliments, writing love letters, the words of affirmation and appreciation, to affirm and appreciate the person that they are, and to tell them that they are loved, that we are the loving, the other polarity, loving them. That's words of affirmation. Then we have acts of service, doing something helpful without being asked, offering to take on the tasks they don't enjoy, surprising them with a thoughtful gesture. These are acts of service. And then the third one is receiving gifts. Obviously, this is most probably international assumption when it comes to what the language of love is. Anytime we are in doubt, most people default to gifts because it's a tried and true method that has been around for just as long as humans have been able to understand and appreciate the value of anything and gifting that to somebody else. Next up, we have the quality time. This is also very important. Now, the more substantive a relationship gets, now we get into these parts, the quality time. This is planning special outings, asking them questions and really listening, and just being fully present when spending time together, not looking into their eyes, but having the monkey run in our brain around and wreak havoc. If we're looking into each other's eyes, if we are together, we must look into each other's eyes. We must become intimate to acknowledge love, to accept and to send, to transmit and to receive. And a part of that, obviously, is this being present and not being distracted with thoughts in our own minds, or worse yet, with our phones and fidgets. Last but of course not the least, we have the physical touch. So, this one's the most obvious, is to be affectionate in appropriate ways, initiating physical contact, holding hands, hugs, kisses, and just the physical comfort. And now this is where it gets really interesting because, by the way, I wanted to point this out. The 5 Languages of Love, this amazing book has been written in 50 different languages and has sold over 13 million copies worldwide. And here's some interesting statistics before a wrap up that I wish to share with everyone. Oh, we're almost over time. Most people's primary language of love in a survey of 1,000 people is words of affirmation, which is just most common, followed by quality time, acts of service, physical touch, and last, weirdly, receiving gifts. And gender differences. This is interesting. The study shows that while the top 2 love languages for both men and women were words of affirmation and quality time, men tended to value physical touch more than women, and women tended to value acts of service more than men. And of course, here is the last thing that we wish to discuss, and that is, if your relationship is rocky right now, most likely it's because we are loving each other, but we just don't know how to communicate it. So let's get down to the bottom of this. Now, if you found this episode helpful, let's just wrap it up. Please subscribe to our podcast, 10 Minutes of Bliss, on Enigma369 organization, the Academy of Unlearning. Leave a comment to let us know how this has helped you, or if it has at all. Share this episode with your friends, family. It may benefit them to have better quality of love and life, because life is love, and everything we do is to get more love and to be loved. Thanks for listening, and this is Bliss. I'm out until the next episode.
You could drink? No. Abi, merhaba.
Merhaba.
Is the water drinkable?
Yes, you can drink that.
No.
Walk over
Are you serious?
there. Yes, you can read it. Tabela
Yeah,
var orada.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
read it there, and then you can drink.
You
Okay.
could drink it.
Yes, yes.